Welcome back. Well, I'm on the hot seat today. This is Beth Greer, and
she is hot.
And I'm being interviewed by my friend and colleague Peter Fairfield, a renowned acupuncturist and the author of an upcoming book called Deep Happy. So we were talking about our homes and how it impacts our health. What else would you like to know?
Well, a lot more than we have time for, but I think there's some important things. You know, one thing I think that many of us forget about are food additives. You know, even in some healthy-seeming food, even in restaurants that seem fairly healthy, aren't there additives in the French fries and other things?
Well, you know, the French fries are really the hydrogenated oils that they're cooking with. So it's a good idea if you do go out to eat to ask what kind of oil they're cooking with. And if they say vegetable oil, you know that's kind of not the way to go. You'd want to look for rice oil or, but the food additives that we have real control over in our own homes are the food colorings, for example, that are found in like yogurts and muffins. And, they banned them in Europe, but they're sold here in America. And the reason they banned them was because they can cause behavioral problems in children, and normal kids can cause temper tantrums. So if you have a kid who's hyperactive, a simple thing might be to just eliminate the food colorings and see what happens to their behavior.
Probably keep them away from the news, too. But aren't there also different additives and even things we're familiar with, like soaps and toothpastes and things like that?
Oh, those additives, yeah. Yep. That's why it's so important to read your labels, because you could go to like the store and pick up a thing and it'll say healing lotion, and you think that this is a good thing, but then you look at it. And if you read the small print, it'll say parabens, for example. Those are synthetic preservatives that have shown up in breast cancer tumors and things that you want to avoid. And also, something to know is that just because a product may say paraben-free doesn't necessarily mean that it's all healthy. Also, because manufacturers are kind of hip to the idea that we're onto them about parabens, so now they're saying paraben-free, but they may have other things in there that are not particularly healthy for us.
I know there's a group of additives based on isopropyl alcohol, and anytime, especially in hair products or beauty products, you see just that syllable prop. It could be blah 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 prop blah blah. That is a toxic carcinogenic substance.
Right, and propylene glycol is found in so many things, and that's found in jet fuel. It's a de-icer actually. So we don't want that in our bodies. And our skin is our largest organ, and most people think it's a barrier, but it really allows microscopic chemicals into our bloodstreams, and then it impacts our livers and affects our immune systems.
And oddly, if you're getting a massage and they're using an oil or they're using creams, if you're putting that much oil on your skin or cream on your skin, it should be good enough to eat. Otherwise, your body's absorbing several ounces of this stuff.
Right. And so if you have any doubts, if you're going to get a massage, let's say, sometimes I bring my own oil with me. Coconut oil is really great.
And just as a quick aside here, mineral oil is highly toxic.
Yeah, mineral oil is a petroleum product. So if you look at a baby oil, you'll see two ingredients on it. It'll say mineral oil and fragrance. So mineral oil, as you say, is toxic. And then the fragrance, a manufacturer can put up to 100 different synthetic chemicals in that one word. It's a catchphrase.
Yeah.
So you're putting 100 different chemicals on your newborn baby. I mean, it seems insane.
Yes, it sounds like the modern world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So of all you spend many days a week really working with people, helping them in their house, their business, their school. What are some of the biggest things that surprises people to find out that's toxic for them, that's in their house, even if they think it's a healthy house?
Well, the microwave, number one. I have these meters that I bring in, and so I have an electromagnetic field meter, and people use their microwaves all the time, and they leak. All of them leak, without exception, even the new ones. And so, and when you turn them on, they'll irradiate you back, at least 3 feet. And so then you think, well, I had one client who said, well, what is that doing to my body? Well, I said, well, okay, well, what is microwave radiation doing to your food? It actually vibrates the water molecules inside the food, and we're mostly water, so it's vibrating our molecules. I wouldn't want to stay too close to that. So
we should get yardsticks.
right.
I mean, literally to turn it on with, because that tells us
Just
something.
get rid of it. Well, I mean, you really don't need it. And then they say to me, well, how do I warm up like Chinese food, leftover Chinese food? Well, you just take a pot, you add a little water to it, and you put it on a low heat, and you cover it, and you do it.
And there's also this esoteric device rarely found in kitchens these days called an oven.
Right.
So that must surprise. I mean, we've all heard that that there's questions about nuking your food like that, but I don't think people realize that how leaky even the new good one, expensive one is.
Right. Yeah. It's just and then they say, well, how can I make popcorn? Because it's so easy. Well, first of all, the microwave popcorn bags, they're lined in a sort of a Teflon coated interior, and so when the oil mixes in with this and gets onto the popcorn, we're eating this. So, it's so simple to make popcorn in an old-fashioned pot. You just heat up some coconut oil, which is what I use, and put a lid on it, and it's done in like 3 minutes, maybe 5. It just takes a little bit longer.
And this is one of the problems with frozen foods, because they always give you these little plastic tins or these little plastic trays, and as soon as you even heating those in an oven, still you're going to get some off-gassing from the plastics.
Yes.
And those plastics, and many of them mimic hormones, so it can create premature aging in men and women, and change the whole hormone basis.
Aside from premature aging, it also causes premature early puberty in kids. And so, I always tell people to get rid of their plastic water bottles, for example, and switch over to glass. And, while we're speaking about water, a really good thing to do in the kitchen is to get a water filter, and not just the ones that sit on your sink, but an under-the-counter water filter. It's one
of the 3 tubes.
Yeah, 3 tubes. Anything that's reverse osmosis. It's really critical. I think that people just also assume that our tap water is safe, and it's not that it's toxic. It's that the Associated Press did a survey of American tap water, and they found that we have almost over 100 different pharmaceutical medicines in our tap water, in significant quantities. And so you're doing this day by day by day. Some antidepressants, Valium. I mean, Viagra. I mean, maybe that sounds good, but for most people, they really don't want to be getting dosed with this stuff.
And actually, because it's a microdose, the body learns to now develop tolerances to those. So it means if you're actually going to take the pharmaceutical drug, it takes a higher level, which creates more secondary problems. So it's a good point. It's a very odd way to look at it. Now, I want to come back to water bottles just for a minute here. Now, I always thought, wrongly, I found out that the clear, harder plastic bottles were better, because I thought it'd be hard for it to come into the water. But I found out that the softer plastic, the kind you can make a market, that's actually easier. It's better.
Well, okay, if you look at the bottle of the bottom of a water bottle, there's a number in a little triangle. That's your recycled number. So the number 1 is the real soft plastic, and that's apparently the safest. But it's really meant for single use. And a lot of people, what they do is they keep refilling it up, and they're getting bacteria on the mouthpiece. So that's not good. And so then the hard plastic bottles, many of them contain something called BPA or bisphenol A, which leaches in. So then there are companies that are saying BPA free, just like paraben free. But what other chemicals are in there that we're not aware of that could be leaching in and affecting our hormones?
And also, I almost never use cans, but I do buy tuna sometimes, and I do buy canned beans sometimes. And there's bisphenol coatings on the inside of those cans.
That's right. You're absolutely right. So yeah, I was making a lot of chili at one time using canned beans because it's so easy. So again, it's a little bit of the inconvenience, but I feel like peace of mind. So I buy dried beans now, and I cook them in the oven for an hour, and they're done, and they're great.
Or you can get a small little slow cooker and just put them on in the morning and just have them kind of be warm all day, and they're kind of ready and good by the time you get home. And now you mentioned getting glass bottles, but for kids or people that are busy or hikers, I don't think I want to carry a glass bottle. Are stainless steel bottles okay for that?
Yeah, stainless steel are okay. I mean, for me personally, I just found that they sort of tasted a little metallic.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a water bottle that has a plastic sleeve on it. And so, it goes into the dishwasher, and they make baby bottles like this. This is called Factory. Forgot the name of it. Anyway, they're out there, and
you probably can get them at REI or places like that.
Well, I know Whole Foods sells these.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, are there any modern plastics that are designed to be less toxic? Or, I mean, have they done any work with that?
Well, I know that they're making some plastics out of corn and things like that, for like utensils, but I haven't seen any drinking bottle plastics out of there.
Now, because there's a few of the topics we want to talk about here. Many people are trying to lower their cholesterol by eating fish, and although that's kind of a myth, because the main reason cholesterol comes is from eating carbs, it turns out. But isn't it okay to eat farm-raised fish, or is that dangerous too?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned at the top of the show, these fish that are farmed are loaded with toxic chemicals and carcinogenic chemicals. I was shocked to learn that salmon, for example, farm-raised salmon, the farmers are coloring the salmon with orange food dye, because if they don't, they just come out, their flesh comes out gray, because they're not eating the wild stuff. They're being fed corn and soy.
It's krill or something that makes it orange or something.
Exactly, yeah. So they're fed corn and soy. Now, fish shouldn't be eating that, number one. And number two, most of the corn, I'd say 80% of the corn and soy of this country is genetically modified. So, and if you have a soy allergy and you're eating a piece of salmon who ate soy, then you might have a reaction to it.
Yeah. Although I guess you'd have your own soy burger right there, since we've talked, I mean, it seems obvious that household cleaners, which are designed to be toxic and kill mold and dissolve kinds of goo, but those are really toxic, huh?
They are. If they make your eyes and nose run, you can bet that they're pretty caustic ingredients in there, and you want to stay away from them. And I'm glad you asked me about that, because I use baking soda, hydrogen peroxide, and white vinegar, and I've got recipes in my book. And
what's the name of that book again?
Supernatural Home. You can find it on Amazon or on my website, supernaturalhome.com.
Now, I've got some stuff in our tub about every week and a half. All of a sudden, I see little black things around, little black areas of mold, and I have this spray stuff that it seems like it's kind of ammonia and some sort of salt.
Is it natural or not? If it's ammonia, then it's not.
But how toxic is ammonia and that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's not great for us, and you should try filling up a spray bottle with hydrogen peroxide and spraying down your shower.
Oh, that works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, so we're out of time.
That was quick.
That was really quick. Thank you so much.
Well, it was fun. We'll have to do it again. We'll have to do part 2 soon.
Part 2. Fabulous. Hey, thank you. Thanks for Peter Fairfield, and his new clinic in Mill Valley is open. Come visit him, and thank you so much for listening today. For podcasts and more information on my show, visit yoursupernaturallife.com. And see you here next week. Remember, have a supernatural life.
It comes naturally. Additives.